The word fashion appears in Italy in the 17th century. It was a translation of the word mode, used in France. Clothing has two main functions, protection and modesty. The protection given by clothing is against cold weather. We get dressed for modesty, for not showing intimate parts of our body. Up to the end of the Middle Ages, the way people got dressed was unvaried because the society was static, and the past used to be the only value. With the Renaissance, changing became a fundamental value and society started moving towards the future. From the 14th century until the 19th century, every single European state developed a specific style. Starting from the 18th century, France held the hegemony in fashion. In its first phase, fashion was something referred to monarchy and aristocracy. With French Revolution, revolutionaries abolished everything belonging to aristocracy, both with regard to men and women. Up to the beginning of the 19th century, fashion developed through a progressive artificiality of the body because in the court, interpersonal relationships were mainly dominated by the respect of strict protocols and manners. The Restoration imposed to women very simple and classic costume, the imperial style, inspired to ancient Greece and ancient Rome. Haute couture was born in autumn 1857 in Paris, with the opening of the English atelier of Charles Worth. He was the very first who proposed every year a collection of exposure dresses that buyers could see and choose, and the industrial tailoring started imitating the same models for lower social classes. The main stylist of the beginning of the 20th century is Paul Poiret, imposing himself thanks to the creation of comfortable dresses. He reduced the use of the bustier, symbol of submission. The First World War was fundamental, as often women found themselves carrying out masculine activities, so they had to wear more functional dresses, closer to men clothing. Jean Patou and even more Gabrielle Chanel, also known as Coco, played a fundamental role for the modernization of women's clothing. During her career, Chanel has made of modernity her core point, accepting, for example, to dress up Hollywood stars such as Greta Garbo and Gloria Swanson, promoting modernity through it. Chanel also understood the importance of the makeup industry and cologne, to firm up the image of the brand and increase incomes. In fact, today, the cologne Chanel No. 5, launched in 1921, is still one of the most sold and evergreen cologne on worldwide level. Witnessing the rapid changes in fashion after the Second World War, Chanel was able to reinvent her style, offering reassuring dresses to women, as the famous tailleur worn by Jacqueline Kennedy or Grace Kelly. At the end of the 1950s, Rome becomes the protagonist of fashion, thanks to the collective imagination of Dolce Vita. During the 60s, youngsters reached the hegemony in the socio-cultural field, being the protagonists of consumption culture, exploiting the role of mass media. They proposed new values, such as dynamism and freedom. They transformed the elegance of haute couture into something to satisfy one's need of seduction by the introducing of true colors, flower printings, heavy makeups, plastic and miniskirts, creating an innovative pop model. The answer of the fashion system to the need of younger generation to use a more democratic style is the prêt-à-porter. It was founded in France to produce tailored dresses at affordable prices. Society was changing and urban young professionals of the advanced third sector were looking for quality and innovation. Therefore, prêt-à-porter brands adopt a strictly personal logic whose symbol is the brand itself. In fact, the couturier becomes a sort of guide for the choosing of the piece of clothing by giving an unequivocal identification image, and this is how many Italian brands reached success during the 80s. Giorgio Armani enters in contact with the new reality of prêt-à-porter that had transformed haute couture dresses in industrial stock production. He starts experimenting on the men's black jacket, still enclosed into rigid schemes, and finds out that, to get rid of these schemes, he had to work on fabrics, details and proportions. As for women, Armani proposed loose jacket with big shoulders for a discreet and humble femininity, and his style is mainly welcomed by businesswomen, emancipated, born in the 70s, that needed a style that attracted men and intimidated them. During the 80s, several sports had inspired daily fashion. Casual became sportswear, a range of clothing meant for urban consumers who loved comfort. Jeans, created in 1853 by Levi Strauss, have represented the symbol of informal style of more than a century. Between the 60s and the 70s, jeans became something to favor sex equality, so they became the uniform of youth movements. Today, jeans have lost this specific meaning and are considered something socially undifferentiated. Starting from the 60s, fashion innovations created by youngsters started being considered as reference point for the fashion industrial system. It was right on the street that young people started gathering in bands, creating subcultures characterized by sharing of some given values, behaviors, and by the creation of peculiar expressive ways, the so-called street styles. Subcultures had the centrality of the body as the main common value. Young people have always disguised, decorated, and even manipulated their body, but above all, they have dressed it up. Punk subculture is by far the most expressive among all subcultures. It was founded by Malcolm McLaren and Vivienne Westwood in 1971. The word punk means something of scarce value, because punkers consider themselves as white blacks, individuals confined at the edge of society. Their style was rather kinetic and transitive. They look at objects as tools and not as a goal to reach, as they focused more on the upsetting of the meaning of a given object. What seems to be the main trend of all subculture is the progressive elimination of bonds with the territory. And it is, thanks to this kind of strategies, that subcultures today tend to be freer to act in order to ensure themselves authenticity. So it tends to create a single undefined world with no borders between formality and informality. A world that has been called streetwear. It is not really a style, but rather a concept, to dress up as you want, creating a sticky territory where subculture and brand languages endlessly mix together.